The growl of the motorcycle tore through the empty highway, sounding like a spirit clawing its way back into a life it once escaped. After 5 long years filled with silence, distance, and choices he wished he could undo, Cole Ryder finally rode back into his hometown. This place remembered him as a reckless kid with too much anger and not enough sense, not the scarred, tattooed biker he had become. The early morning sun washed over the quiet streets, but nothing felt warm or welcoming. Every mile made his chest tighten, because this wasn't just a visit. This was a reckoning. He was back to face the truth he had spent 5 years running from. And if you believe in kindness, forgiveness, and second chances, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe, because support is what keeps stories like this alive. Cole pulled his bike to a stop at the edge of town and slowly removed his helmet, letting out a breath he didn't realize he'd been holding. For years, he had drifted from place to place, chasing freedom, brotherhood, and open roads anything that kept him from thinking about the one person he abandoned. His mother. She raised him alone. She worked double shifts until her hands ached, and somehow she still smiled for him every single day. And how did he repay her? By storming out after one heated argument, and never turning back. He imagined finding her at home older, maybe worn down, but safe. Instead, when he reached their small house, the windows were boarded up, the yard swallowed by weeds, and the silence felt heavy, like a grave. A neighbor finally spoke the words he feared most. After he left, she struggled. Bills stacked up. Work became unbearable. And eventually, she sold the house and disappeared into a small rental nearby. Cole's heart splintered with every detail the neighbor shared. The guilt pressed harder as he clutched an old envelope with an address scribbled across it. The ink faded like the years he'd wasted. Before heading there, something tugged at him, a fragile memory. His mum used to love stopping by the town diner every Sunday morning. Pancakes, extra syrup, that soft smile she wore when life slowed down for just a moment. Maybe she still goes there, he thought. Maybe I'll walk in and see her sitting in a booth, waving like nothing ever broke. The bell above the diner door chimed as Cole stepped inside, and the warmth of coffee and syrup wrapped around him like a ghost from the past. He scanned the room, his heart racing, searching faces, booths, corners, and then his breath caught. At the center of the diner, beside a booth smeared with dried ketchup, stood his mother. She looked smaller now, thinner. Her hair carried more gray, her shoulders curved forward as she wiped the table. A man in a crisp vest stood over her, jabbing a finger at a spot she'd missed, his voice sharp and impatient. She flinched with every word. Cole couldn't move, couldn't blink. His boots felt cemented to the floor. The woman who once stood unbreakable, who raised him alone and protected him from the world, was now being scolded for crumbs on a table. The guilt hit him like a punch to the chest, nearly knocking him off balance. He had left her to fight life alone, and life had crushed her. As the man's voice grew louder, the entire diner fell silent. Watching, the silence in the diner grew thick and uncomfortable. A few bikers at the counter shifted in their seats, glancing over but saying nothing. Cole felt it then, his body moving before his mind could catch up. Each step toward her felt like walking through flames. 5 years of regret burned inside his chest, twisting into something raw, heavy, and fiercely protective. But he didn't rush in with rage. He didn't raise his voice. He simply stopped behind her and watched her small, worn hands shake as she folded a napkin. And in that moment, Something inside him cracked wide open. She still hadn't seen him, but he saw everything. He saw the exhaustion etched into her posture. He saw the quiet strength it took just to keep standing. He saw how far she had fallen while he was out on the road, pretending the world owed him something it never did. And when the customer leaned forward again, his tone sharp and disrespectful, Cole reached out and gently rested his hand on his mother's shoulder. She froze instantly, startled by a familiar warmth she hadn't felt in years. Slowly, she turned. Her eyes widened in disbelief. The cloth slipped from her fingers and fluttered to the floor. The entire diner seemed to stop breathing. Her son, the boy she thought she'd lost, the one she prayed for every single night, stood right in front of her, older, harder, marked by scars and miles of road, but alive. Cole couldn't speak. His throat locked tight, but she saw it all in his eyes, the apologies never spoken, the guilt that haunted him, the love that never faded. With a trembling hand, she reached up and touched his face, as if afraid he might vanish again. And Cole leaned into her touch, just like a child begging for forgiveness. From that moment on, nothing stayed the same. Cole remained by her side for the rest of her shift, quietly stepping in, carrying trays, wiping down tables, refilling coffee cups without a word. The bikers at the counter, who had already clocked Cole as one of their own, began helping too. No speeches, no bravado, just small gestures, easing her workload as a silent sign of respect. The customers felt it's a shift in the air, the unspoken weight of something emotional unfolding right in front of them. That night, Cole drove her home. Their first real conversation wasn't about blame or anger. It was about healing. She told him how hard life had been, not to punish him with guilt, but because she'd carried it alone for too long. He listened, tears falling freely, not trying to hide them. In the weeks that followed, Cole found steady work, fixed up her small rental, and poured every ounce of himself into giving her the life she always deserved. The biker who once drifted without purpose had finally found one protecting the woman who never stopped loving him, even when he gave her every reason to. And for the first time in years, she didn't feel alone. If this story touched your heart, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Your support helps these stories reach others who need them.